help you?
Hey, Habibi, look, my hang low ain't working like it's supposed to. You got any of them sex pills?
May I randomly suggest one of these generic products?
Nah.
You should take the A game, little bro.
Bling bling for the ding ding.
Nah.
You shouldn't be taking that poison, little bro. Here, try one of mine.
Yes, right.
A game will make a girl give you her credit card number.
It is very true.
Plus, it's an all-natural solution for men. Not like these gas station pills gonna make your manhood shrivel up and fall off.
Oh my golly, he's right. A-game is an all-natural solution for men. And you take it and it give you energy and libido and your vitality will be out the roof.
I feel it kicking in already. I'm gonna go home and show my girl.
Okay, but don't forget to drink 16 to 32 ounces of water.
Hey, baby.
Ooh, look who brought their A game.
And that A is for apocalypse, cause I'm about to blow your back up. Ow!
Ooh, I love it when you bring your...
What's going on, world? DS1 Ross, and we back here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Shout out to everybody who support the platform, man. Much love. Much love. Shout out to all the visionaries out there. Salute. Salute, salute, salute. Salute to the visionaries that's in the building. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all. Much love. Salute to the A-Game family. Shout out to the A-Game Nation. We back on Sheep Stay Sleep TV, man. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all share the show. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Make sure y'all share this show. Shout out to my brother, the Bishop, in the building. Salute. A-Game family in the building. Salute, salute. Also, if you are tuned in, make sure you check the pinned comment. If you haven't yet, make sure you get your copy of the first issue of the Black Manosphere magazine, which is a #1 bestseller in many categories on Amazon. So make sure y'all go and support Black Male Media. The link is pinned in the comment section. If you want to get you a copy, go ahead. It's right there. Salute to everybody, man. Salute to everybody who has helped us on our first magazine being a success. Salute to everybody. We appreciate it. We really, really appreciate it. Everybody who got a copy, we really appreciate it, man. Much love to y'all, man. Much love. So shout out to everybody that's in the clouds. You know, shout out to everybody that's watching. You know, y'all see today's show. We're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. Y'all see today's show. Fatherlessness and resentment. If you got the first issue of the Black Manosphere magazine, right? You can flip to the last page and see that there's a report card where there's 10 issues that we addressed. And we graded it based on the state of the space. And today I want to talk about one of those issues. We're going to talk about fatherlessness and the connection between fatherlessness and the resentment that a lot of us Black men have for one another. I want to speak on this because this is very, very important, and it's key because when a lot of people speak on fatherlessness, they don't really know the direct effects of it. And a lot of times we don't know when we're seeing it right in front of our eyes. And this is why in the magazine, we pointed out that fatherlessness was one of our 10 main issues that plague Black men today. One of those 10 main issues is fatherlessness. So we're going to get into that today. So make sure y'all hit the like button. Make sure y'all share the show. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Make sure y'all share the show. Also, I want to give a little, make sure y'all go and check out the video, The Power of Agency, where I spoke on, the versus battle. I gave my, my analysis on the versus battle between the Locks versus Dipset. Shout out to them both. But, I just been a Locks fan since I was a kid. So I already knew what that was. I already knew what that was going to be. I'm from Brooklyn, so I grew up a fan of Biggie. So, and the Locks, they're like the offspring of Big. So it was like it was destined for me to be a Locks fan. And they ran Dipset out the building. So make sure y'all go and check that video out, The Power of Agency. The Power of Agency. Yeah. Everybody say Jada slaughtered everyone. Everybody say that. Shout out to Queen of C in the building. Great to see you, Queen of C. Yeah, everybody say that, bro. But, the Locks is my favorite. They my favorite group of all times. And Jada Kiss Styles and Sheik are they my favorite rappers too. So a lot of people say Jada slaughtered everybody, but I think Styles energy, the way Styles came out there, it was just crazy. His energy was crazy. But of course, when it came to the lyrics, when it came to all of the big hits for the group, of course it was Kiss. Kiss is that guy. But Styles came up there and had everybody scared. Styles came up there and set the tone. So make sure y'all go and check that video out, man. Because there was there's some real power behind their dynamic. Nah, Jada killed the freestyle because no one does that anymore. It was hip hop the way I remember it. Exactly. Shout out to the Crimson Cure in the building. Exactly. They all did their own. Exactly. And see, people forget that, the Locks, they the kings of mixtapes. Styles P alone he's like the king of hardcore street rap. So you're right. They brought that feel back. That feel back. Their chemistry is dope. Because not only did they run them out, they ran them out of Madison Square Garden music-wise, but they outperformed them. The Locks are more healthy. They outperformed them. Yeah, they're the king of mixtapes. People forgot that. They forgot that. So when you bring in the king of mixtapes to a battle, and not only are they the king of mixtapes, but people forget the Locks won Grammys. Benjamins, all about the Benjamins, baby. That's the Locks. Jadakiss, got hits with Mariah, platinum hit singles. Styles P, platinum hit singles. People forget. They forgot. Nope, they wasn't. They wasn't. And it looked bad. Jim Jones fell off the stage. Jimmy fell off the stage. I'm like, wow. Joel's teeth was about to fall out his mouth. It was crazy. It was crazy. It was crazy. Yeah, they thought they was gonna yeah. Yep, they did. They did. They thought it was gonna be a fight. Nah. Mm-mm. Yeah, you peeped that too, right, Bishop? Yeah, Joel's teeth was about to fall out his mouth. That's why in the thumbnail of the video, The Power of Agency, that's the Locks. They're backstage praying together before they went on stage. They was backstage praying together. Shout out to Sir O in the building. But make sure y'all like and share the stream. We're gonna get into the topic. Fatherlessness and resentment. We all know when it comes to fatherlessness, just how much that affects who we are as men. We know this already. We know this. So with us understanding this, right? We have to understand why our young Black boys today are doing what they're doing. See, because a lot of us say, oh, it's because there's no father in the house. There's no father in the house. Right, that's true. But we have to talk about the effects of the father not being there, which leads young brothers to doing certain things. See, a lot of us don't understand that. See, because I know a lot of young dudes who had a father in the house. They had a father, but that didn't stop them from doing the things that they've done. You see? See, just a man being there is not enough. And this is what I want brothers to understand. It has to be actions being taken. They have to see you doing things. You have to be actively showing them and teaching them things. Not by only what you say, by what you do. See, because a lot of us brothers today, we suffer with a lot of anger, a lot of bitterness, a lot of hatred. You know, all of these things that will in turn affect our health. You see? See, this is why we speak on in the 10 life value system that the internal 5 is where a man heals, because that is also where a man is broken. Let me repeat that. We say here in the A Game family, in the A Game nation, that the internal 5 is where a man heals, because that is also where a man is broken. You see? Spiritual, health, family, appearance, and dwelling is the making of a man and the breaking of a man. This is where a man is built. This is where a man is destroyed. See, because, for example, Dr. Dre, right now, he's going through a divorce, right? He's going through a crazy divorce, which is going to what? It's going to mess with his what? His finances, his wealth. It's going to mess with his external well-being. It's going to start affecting things down in the external 5. But this happened to him because of what? He was lacking in spiritual value. You see? That's where Dre messed up at, because Dre messed up here. Dre messed up here. And the reason why Dre messed up here, as far as his vetting process, it is because he doesn't see the value in himself first. He doesn't see the importance of who he is reigning over what he can give people. You see? You see? And y'all follow me, because it's all going to line up. It's all going to line up. You see? So when there's a lack of male leadership, a man is going to be weak internally. He's going to be weak internally. You see? That is the connection between fatherlessness and resentment. Because resentment comes in a man when he's not properly guided by a man. These are one of the things that occur in fatherless boys or fatherless men. They start running around resenting everything that is not in alignment with them. You see? And it is because a father's job is to direct a young man's passion, his energy. He's supposed to direct it and show him how to focus on the right things, how to get in his feelings understand what's going on, and get out of them. You see? But there's too many black men running around with all of this resentment for other black men because they're fatherless. They have no male direction but themselves. And we know that that direction is not that strong because of what? You come from the gynocracy. A boy that comes from the gynocracy cannot lead himself properly. He's going to lead himself to destruction. Why? Because he doesn't have any of this. He doesn't have any of this. He doesn't have this. He doesn't have systems, order, and structure, which is something a father provides a son or a young man. This is where the resentment comes from. The lack of this. The lack of SOS. Because there was no father around. You had to raise yourself. You had to raise yourself. And whether you know it or not, you had to acquiesce to what was out here. Because nobody told you that you could go do something else. Why? Because you didn't have no man around. And this is why a lot of you brothers walk around with all of this anger, with all of this bitterness. It's simply because you grew up fatherless. Do you know in the United States, 1 in 3 children live in a fatherless home? And do you know a child that is deprived of their father is deprived of physical, emotional, intellectual, and economic benefits throughout their life? Let me repeat that. Let me repeat that. When a child grow up in a fatherless environment, they are deprived throughout their life, physical, intellectual, and emotional support throughout their entire life. Throughout their entire life. Basically, when you don't have your dad around, your life is destroyed. Throughout your life, you will struggle. You will struggle on all levels. Because you are missing the key element of who you are. This is why we have the level of resentment that we have between each other, brothers. Shout out to E313. Appreciate you. Much love. You see? You wonder why we can't get along? It's because a lot of us grew up with no male figures in our life to direct our emotions. This is why you always hear me speak on what? Emotional intelligence. Because that is what our traumas are based in. And there's a lot of us brothers who suffer from emotional trauma because we didn't grow up with our fathers. There's a level of resentment for black men when you don't grow up with your father. And when you don't have father figures in your life to tell you what it is, to explain to you, hey, brother, don't grow up and be hateful. Yeah, you might not have your biological dad. But listen, I got you. You see? That's the reason for the stepdad. That's the reason for the basketball coach, the counselor, the advisor. Because once these young men, resentment is built up to a certain extent, they're going to start committing crime. They're going to start committing crime because now I have to express that I resent myself. Now I have to express how much I resent my father. Why you think a lot of these young dudes don't have respect for older dudes too? Because they resent the elders, the elder men in their family for not being there. For not being there. They're mad. They're bitter for not being there. So they all group up together and they go around and they harm elderly men. That's not cool. But we got to understand where it comes from, brothers. This is why it's important we speak on those 10 issues. And fatherlessness is one. Because it leads to the emotional trauma that creates the violence that we see out here in the streets. It's that resentment. He resent us when we tell him something good because it's like, you ain't my father. I don't want to hear that from you. And he can't hear it from another man because when you hear it from your father or from a father figure, that teaches you to listen to other brothers. You see? Men teach boys how to take counsel from elder men, from men with wisdom. See, if you one of them hard-headed dudes, it's because we know you ain't had no men around you. We know you didn't have a certain level of SOS. And we have to understand that these are one of the main reasons why black men are being destroyed on a level we're being destroyed. We have to understand this. We have to understand that fatherlessness is a real problem. And we have to understand the results of this. You wonder why you can't get through to black men? You wonder why it's so difficult? Ask them if they grew up with their father. Ask them if they had a father figure in their life. Ask them if they ever had a man around them on a regular basis that they respected, that respected them and loved them. Ask them that. I guarantee you the majority of them don't have it. The majority of us don't have it. We just don't have it. We just do not have it. That has to change. That is a problem. And with the 5P solution model, we know what? The problem. The problem is what? Fatherlessness. No, first, the problem would be if we just have, for example, if we just have a young man, let's say one of y'all visionaries, right? One of y'all visionaries bring an in trouble young man into my office. And y'all say, DS1, we need y'all to help this. We need you to help this young brother. You know, he's in trouble. He keep going back and forth to prison. We don't know what to do. The first thing I'm going to do is say, okay, he committing crime. He's doing this. He's doing that. He's rebelling. So I'm going to ask him, you know, like what's going on with him currently to get a feel on his emotional state. See, let me let y'all brothers know something. We have to stop ignoring each other's feelings about things. We have to. We have to stop thinking that being men and being fathers and being leaders does not affect people in an emotional way. You have to understand this. I need you brothers to understand this. Because nobody cares about what you know unless they know that you care first. Why is a child going to listen? Why? My bad, y'all. Why is a child going to listen to you and follow the blueprint that you set out for them if they know you don't love them? If they know you don't care about them? If they don't know and you haven't showed that you loved and cared for them as their dad, as their uncle, as their big brother, as their older cousin, why should they listen to you? Why? Why should they listen to you? Because you said so? See, that's not going to work. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to what? I'm going to assess the problem. I'm going to say, okay, This young brother is dealing with a lot of anger issues. He's bitter about some things and some people. He's dealing with a lot of resentment. And this is going to be a problem for this young brother because this is going to hold him back in life. You see? And I also have to let him know that, listen, this problem that you're dealing with, young brother, it simply comes from, and I'm gonna ask him, did you grow up with your dad? Does your mom have a boyfriend? Is she married? Do she have did you grow up with a stepdad? I'm gonna ask all of these things because I understand the connection between fatherlessness and resentment. Fatherlessness and emotional trauma. And when you are not, or when you haven't been taught to be emotionally mature, that's going to hold you back in life. See, running around being hateful and being resentful to people, you're never going to be successful. You're never going to be successful that way. And see, that's what I'm going to explain to that young man. If you want to be successful, young brother, we're going to have to work with that anger, with that resentment that you have for your dad not being there for you. We have to work with that. You see? And this is why we have a lot of brothers today. We have a lot of brothers today that is emotionally trapped by fatherlessness. You see? See, you can almost tell the men who've had masculine presence in their life, a positive one, because they're optimistic. You see? They're not running around resenting other men, mad and bitter at other people. You see? A good masculine role model in a young man's life will always be the building blocks to our success. I don't care what you believe. I don't care what you believe. All you have to do is look up the consequences of a fatherless home. All you got to do is look up child development. Now now I understand exactly why when I brought up emotional intelligence, why that was an issue. Because I hit a soft spot. I hit a soft spot. See, because what I touched was, I touched that fatherless button. But see, that's my job. That's who I am. That's me. I'm Mr. Heal Before You Build. That's me. See, I'm never gonna be no one else but myself. I'm never gonna be anyone else. You're never gonna see me promoting anything else. The lack of black fathers in the black household creates emotional trauma in a child's life. What do you think the internet mandingo fights are based in? Emotional trauma. The peacocking, emotional trauma. That's what it's all based in. That's what it's also, that's what it's about. I keep trying to tell y'all this. But this is why here in the A Game Nation, we're going to continue to address the real issues that plague black men. See, we're not going to play ring around the rosy. See, because we understand that after we address and know the problem, we have to prepare. We have to prepare ourselves. You see? And then after that, you got to plan how you're going to do it. You see? But a lot of us, we stuck at number 1 and number 2. Because we'll know the problem, but then what? We get stuck. We get stuck in the emotional part, the emotional phase, so we don't get nothing done. And you know why we get stuck there and nothing gets done? It all goes back to emotional trauma. You see, brothers? And this is why no one takes us serious. This is why we can continue to get rolled over. Because we're not taking ourselves serious. We're not. We're not. We're not. We're not addressing the real problems. We're going to continue to do it here. Because we understand the importance of it. Come on. See, it's our job to redefine our own image. That's our job, brothers. That's not the job of anyone else. It's not the job of our women. See, because all our women going to do is uphold our image or the image of another man. Because women, what? pass on culture. They project the culture that men create. Now, what type of culture are we creating, brothers? What type of culture are we creating? It's the question. That's the question. That's the question. Shout out to Bronze Dip in the building. Big Neff TV, salute. He says some of us want to see it all collapse. Pain brings joy in a weird way. Yeah, I know. I know. That's that emotional trauma that I was just talking about, Big Neff. That's that emotional trauma. And unresolved trauma leads to what? Destruction. Self-destruction. And a group of those people who have that mindset are nihilists. People who think the world is just destined and evil to just be some type of way because they're dealing with a bunch of resentment. They're dealing with a bunch of bitterness and anger. This is why the streets are so violent. You have to understand what we're dealing with here. If we're going to deal with the pulse of our people, with the pulse of our brothers, we have to understand that they're dealing with high levels of emotional trauma. The majority, there's so many black men who would rather get up and sell drugs than to go and work because of the emotional trauma of not knowing how to take orders from another man because they feel less of a man that they have to do that. That's a problem. That goes back to fatherlessness. That's what that goes back to. That goes back to that. Then you wonder why these young boys do so much drugs. They do so much drugs because they don't know who the heck they are. They don't know who they are. This is why in the 10 life value success system, we follow a success system over here. That's why our first publication went #1. Because we follow a success system that was built by a black man who said and taught black men, hey, black man, it's about you first. You better love yourself first before you love that goddamn money in your pocket. You better love yourself. You better love the way you look and love the way you feel about yourself. And our young brothers don't. They don't love the way they look. They don't love the way they feel. That's why they're dealing with mental health issues. That's why they're dealing with mental health issues. Because it comes from a lack of identity, which is spiritual value first, which is the knowledge of yourself. If you don't know who the hell you are, of course you're going to have a mental illness. That's a mental illness in itself. When you don't know who you are. And they don't know who they are. Why? Because they come from a broken family. Daddy ain't around. Daddy not around to set things in order. You see? Yeah, I grew up in the gynocracy, but you know what my dad taught me? Don't hate your mama. Yeah, your mama did the things that she done, but you're not supposed to hate your mama. You see? He was addressing my emotional trauma that he grew up with. That's why I don't hate black women. And y'all know me. Y'all know what I already done to the strag. We don't have to go back to it. I got a whole playlist. Of what I done to the gynocracy. So we don't have to go there. But that don't mean I hate black women. Because I was taught not to. Because hatred tears you down. Not the gynocracy, fool. Hatred ain't going to tear it down. You know what's going to tear it down? Being agency to your brothers. That's what's going to destroy the gynocracy. That's what's going to destroy the gynocracy. When they see black men get over their emotional trauma. When they see black men stepping up and being fathers and being there and being those father figures. Because it'll stop more young men from going out there and killing somebody and killing themselves. You see? Do y'all see the real effects of fatherlessness? Or do y'all just get up here and nitpick at little points? But when I listen, I hear it. See, because a man is supposed to tell you not to hate women. A woman not supposed to convince you not to. See, you're supposed to get that from a man. You see? My father told me, son, your mama gonna be your mama. Can't get no more red pillar than that. He said, your mama gonna be your mama, boy. That's what my father told me. Your mama gonna be your mama. Don't hate her for it. She don't know who the hell she is. You just better grow up and know who you are. You just better grow up and know who you are. But there's a lot of us brothers that don't have that. And we know that in this space. So why would we speak against it? Why would we say we don't need that? But then turn around and talk about Chicago and what's going on in the streets with them young brothers. Turn around and talk about New York and all of the murders that's going on in the streets with them young brothers. But all you got to do is listen to the goddamn news report and know that the problem is fatherlessness. Fatherlessness. and the effects of it. And the effects from it. That's why you don't want to see black men with nothing, because you're mad. You're mad at your daddy. I know. I know. That's where all the bitterness come from. That's where it come from. Because you ain't never had no man to tell you, hey, listen, relax. It ain't that serious, man. It is what it is. A lot of y'all didn't hear that till y'all came here on YouTube. And it's my job, along with the A-Game Nation, to make sure that there's young black men who don't have to come just on YouTube to know this stuff. Because black men need agency. What the hell do you think you providing your son when you're there for him? What do you think the job of a stepfather is? A big uncle, a big cousin, a football coach, a life coach. What do you think that's for? But then you same dudes who will preach against that or turn around and talk about the crime rate in Chicago. You don't, what Kendra say? If you don't knock it off, I want to say something else. But I got on a dad hat, so I'm not going to be screaming a bunch of explicit words. Got on a dad hat. But you do, come on, man. You turn around and talk about all these young men in the streets committing all this crime. Where do you think they come from? They come from fatherless homes. And they dealing with emotional trauma. I told y'all this from the time I came to this space. And the more and more y'all want to ignore it, the more and more it's going to show up. The more and more it's going to show up. See? Fatherlessness is a problem. It's one of the main problems. And this is why you resent your brother. It's why you resent your brothers. That's why. That's why you don't want to see your brothers win. You don't want to see them win. If it ain't got nothing to do with you, who cares, right? You know what that's called? That's called hating. That's what a hater is. That's hatred. That's what that is. That's bitterness. And a lot of us brothers don't see this because we haven't had men in our lives to say, hey, why you hating on them dudes? Oh, I ain't hate. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. If you ain't got nothing to do with what they doing, why you speaking on it? That's hating. Mind your business. Mind the business that pays you. Stop speaking on things that you're not involved in. That's feminine, son. That's feminine, son. But see, we know that a lot of y'all didn't have that. Y'all didn't have men that's going to check y'all in that way. Hey, stop speaking on them dudes. You don't even know them. What's wrong with you? That's why you're doing it now as grown men. When all of that is feminine, just running your mouth to run your mouth. Because you resent what other black men do because you ain't never had a black man in your life show you how to do shit. That's why you had to figure it all out on your own. So you resent the brothers who didn't grow up like that. See, that's an example of growing up without a father. So you walk around with malice in your heart for other men for no reason. I know the reason. Because your daddy was supposed to be there to check those emotions. You see? That's what that's about. But we want to sit here and play like, it ain't that. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Shout out to Gemini 605. He say straight strong and hold the line, DS1. F the haters. Salute, family. You already know. Shout out to Heel Zen. Appreciate you, family. Appreciate you. Shout out to everybody in the building. Salute to all the visionaries. But we still dancing around this topic and thinking it's a joke. And demonizing father figures. That shows the level of resentment in a lot of us brothers, man. This is why I said, and I've been saying this the past couple of brothers, we are sick. We're sick, man. We're sick. This is why I say we gotta heal. We sick. We think it's normal to run around and have resentment for each other. We think that's a normal way of living. That's sickness. That's sickness. And you develop that sickness when you practice the value system backward. When you practice the value system backward, that's when you develop a goddamn sickness. What you hear these young men out here saying? Huh? What they out here saying? Man, I gotta rob to eat. I gotta kill to eat. Yeah, because that's the life of a consumer. That's the backward value system. That's why you're so goddamn hateful. That's why you're hating. That's why you're so bitter and angry at everybody. Because you need a father. Y'all been running around this space screaming, Mama! Y'all should have been screaming, Papa! You should have been screaming that. Papa! Because that's who you need. You need your damn daddy. That's who you need. You see? That's what's being shown, the missing of your papa. That's why you can't help but to demonize black men. Because you get that from your mama, because you don't know nothing about your papa. Boy, you act like your mama because she taught you to hate your papa. You see? That's why you can't stand when you see other black men go #1 on Amazon. You wish it failed. Oh, it ain't gonna do nothing anyway. It ain't gonna do nothing anyway. Sounding like your battered and bruised mama. You ain't gonna never be nothing, just like your daddy. Then y'all come online. Y'all ain't gonna be successful. It's gonna flop. Ain't nothing gonna come out of that. Y'all ain't gonna do nothing. Shows the lack. It shows the lack of father. It shows the fatherlessness. It's showing. It's showing. It's showing. It's showing. Yep. It ain't gonna work. None of y'all do gonna work. Nope. Just resentful. Your daddy's supposed to check you about that, boy. Your daddy's supposed to hey, come here. Don't let me hear you say that again. What happened, Dad? Hey, don't be no hater. Dad, what's a hater? Somebody who mad at somebody else because they can't do what they do. Don't ever be mad because you're not another man. Be yourself. Know your role and play it. See, that's missing in a lot of men around here. It's missing. That's missing. That's missing in a lot of grown black men. Those little teachings, those things. Those things. You know, those internal things. Those spiritual things, those principles that you like to say black men don't need. You know, those morals that you say black men don't need. That's why these young boys will blow your head off at a gas station. Soon as you get out to go pump your gas, you got to clutch your gun because these young boys ain't got no morals. But then I'm hearing a bunch of black men say we don't need morals. That's why these young boys will blow your head off while you going to get you some Skittles at a truck stop. You get your head blown right off. Because there ain't no morals no more. There's no principles. There's no what? There's no SOS. Why? Because daddy not around. There's no father figures. And the men who choose to be those men are demonized. They're demonized and they ran away. And this is why we have the young men that we have today. We have the middle-aged men the way they are today. because they still haven't gotten over their father not being there. They father leaving their mother and going to raise a whole nother family. There's still grown black men right here today that still haven't gotten over that. Still. You see? See, because if you had a man in your life as a boy, you will know the importance of principle. You'll know the importance of spiritual value. Because that is what makes you. That is what makes you you. But see, a lot of men wasn't even taught and instructed to be themselves. They were taught to be someone else. Or they taught themselves to be someone else. That's what the basis of these little, dust ups and all of that be about. You can see it. And it's pathetic, man. This is why we touch on these issues. And we will continue. Because at the end of the day, the next 10, 20 generations shouldn't have to go through what we went through. Shouldn't have to go through what my father went through. And his father, and his father. You see? Because we know that if we don't do this, our threat of extinction it raises. Every day. Every day. What are we going to do about that? What are we going to do? Not what they're going to do, not what black women are going to do. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? So we just going to sit around and keep letting these boys just be fatherless and grow up and be confused and destructive men? That's what we going to do? And then say, oh, well, you're a destructive man, because even I watched your mother abandon you and I didn't do anything because it was your mother's fault. Then you wonder why these young boys don't respect a lot of you old dudes today. Because you want to be treated and respected as a man, but you haven't done anything for that. Respect is earned. Respect is earned. It's not something you just run around and no. So if we think that it's not our job to fix the fatherlessness problem, we're going to continue to be destroyed, brothers. So I appreciate y'all for tuning into today's show. Much love. Why were the fathers missing in the first place? A lot of fathers are missing simply because a lot of them are in prison for certain reasons, and a lot of them just left. A lot of them were also pushed out of the home. There's a lot of reasons why. We know the reasons why. Incarceration, women pushing them out the home. Shout out to Shaka New in the building. We can't fix the boys without the truth. And the truth is, WS designed a plan to destabilize the black family. What is the 10-point solution for that? Debunker TV. Go up into the pinned comment in the comment section and get you a copy of the magazine. We address those 10-point solutions there. One of them is one I'm addressing today, which is fatherlessness. The lack of black male agency, poor health conditions, the persistent barriers to wealth, the lack of educational support. It's all in the magazine, my brother. Go and grab you a copy, bro. We're redefining the black male image, and we are helping black men. That is the purpose. Go and get you a copy, bro. Big Neff TV, salute. Now, you said good luck to those kids. Now, what's crazy about that is hopefully you grew up with a father. Because if you didn't, it'd be crazy for you to say good luck to those kids when somebody could have just said that shit to you. See, that's ironic to me. You can't say shit like that when somebody looked out for you. Oh, nah, it's all good, Bunker TV. I know who you are. I know who you are, my brother. I know exactly who you are. And I know you mean well. That's why I told you get you a copy of the magazine. It's 99 cents on Amazon. Angela Monica. She said, black men are everything wonderful. Yes. Yes. Appreciate that. And that's the truth. We are the archetype of a man. Tall, dark, and handsome. What other man fits that? Tall, dark, and handsome. Come on, man. Big Neff TV said, I'll tell my story on my channel one day. Harsh. Hey, man, I pray for you because we all have a harsh story. We do. We do. The majority of us brothers come from the gynocracy. The majority of us do. That's just the truth. As I said earlier in the show, my dad is the one who had to teach me not to hate my mother. So, man, I got a harsh story too. We all do, bro. We all do. But we can't stay stuck in that emotional phase. We can't stay stuck. This is why right here in the 10 life value success system, the first 5, which is the internal 5, is where we must heal. Those harsh stories, I know, my brother, they all started, not saying that they all are just in the internal 5, but I bet you can all revert it back to an internal issue. Because this is where a man is made and where a man is broken, in the internal 5 of the 10 life value system. So those harsh stories lie within those 5 values. That is where we heal. That is where we heal. So I must, when you start your channel, bro, I come over there and I'll support. Now I'm definitely not trying to compare my story to yours, bro. Your story is your story. No doubt, Big Neff TV. No doubt. We appreciate the support. We appreciate the support, man. So shout out to everybody in the building. Salute to the whole A-Game family. Salute to the A-Game Nation. If y'all haven't yet, make sure y'all go and check the pinned comment in the comment section and get your copy of the first issue of the Black Manosphere magazine. We are redefining the black man's image. So salute to the A-Game family. Once again, salute to the A-Game Nation. Shout out to all the visionaries out there, all of the visionaries that's in the chat. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate everybody for tuning in to today's show. If you enjoyed today's show, CashApp $SheepStaySleepTV is where you can go. CashApp $SheepStaySleepTV is where you can go. I appreciate all the super chats if you hit the Cash App. I appreciate all the love and the support. I'm your host, DS1 Ross of Sheep Stay Sleep TV. And remember, brothers, we got to heal before we build. We got to heal before we build, because we are our own agency. We are our own agency. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace. This show is sponsored, and this channel is sponsored by A-Game, a male herbal solution. A male herbal solution. Fellas, get down in the description box and join this A-Game lifestyle. This is a lifestyle promoting optimal health for us men. It's a lifestyle that promotes optimal health for us men. It is for our energy. It is for our vitality. It is for our strength. And it is for our libido. Fellas, join this A-Game lifestyle simply by clicking the link in the description box. And at your checkout, type in the promo code SHEEP and the number 10. That's SHEEP and the number 10. Get a discount off on your purchase.